In the late 90s, MTV Films became a thing. They started making films, deciding to break out of the usual music television phase, which is more indicative of what they're doing today. They started with Joe's Apartment in 1996, which starred Jerry O'Connell, which is a bizarre movie about a man and his cockroaches, and followed that up with the hit film Beavis and Butthead Do America. Their third film was Dead Man on Campus, which, while an interesting premise, didn't really register with audiences. It was their fourth film, Varsity Blues, in January of 1999, that would go on to have a lasting presence. Varsity Blues was one of the series that was meant to have a television series adaptation at one point when, remember that app that was trying to make like 10-minute episodes? Varsity Blues had a series that was in production with them, Quibi, and it never came to fruition, along with a couple other shows that were in development with them at that time period, including an adaptation of How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. So it's been 26 years since Varsity Blues dropped in January of 1999. I was in high school. This was part of my coming of age set of dramas. And Varsity Blues has been a film that I've already revisited once before, following the passing of Paul Walker. And it's another film that I revisit now as following the passing of James Van Der Beek. So they've also lost another cast member, Ron Lester, who played Billy Bob in the film. So Varsity Blues is quickly becoming a tribute to lost actors of our time. Somebody please go protect Scott Caan as quickly as possible. uh, and Varsity Blues. This is my review, my thoughts on Varsity Blues following the passing of James Van Der Beek. I did find this. It's out there. It's still online. I actually own a copy of this on DVD, so it was easy for me to watch it. I loved Varsity Blues when it first came out. I saw it in theaters. It was easy to sneak into. I wasn't old enough to get a ticket to it, but you buy a ticket to something else and then you go, whoop, I'm into Varsity Blues now. And I was able to enjoy all of the raunchy high school West Texas football that is represented in Varsity Blues in the town of West Canaan, Texas, where John Voight plays a tough as shit, win at all costs football coach who's leading a team, very successful team, hopefully to the championship. But things go awry when their star quarterback takes an injury, Lance, played by Paul Walker, leaving their sort of really unenthused backup quarterback, played by James Van Der Beek, who plays Mox in the film, with the opportunity to step up and step in, except for the coach doesn't believe in him, doesn't think he's ready. Mox isn't even really sure he wants to be ready, but he starts enjoying the celebrity of becoming the star quarterback of the football team while his best friend is recuperating from a leg injury. And the rest of the team is there to support him, including Tweeter, who is certainly an interesting character. The scene where he steals the cop car while completely naked is definitely an iconic scene. And the rest of the football team, Billy Bob and his pig, playing, an overweight lineman whose sole job it is to protect the quarterback, and he feels terrible because he didn't protect Lance, and Lance got tackled because he's out of shape and he's poor health and drunk and all that stuff all the time. So Mox has a girlfriend played by Amy Smart in this, who is more of the studious type, looking forward to college, and Mox is definitely, he has more of the grades and stuff to get in, so he doesn't need an athletic scholarship to go to college. And along the way, things are going to get complicated because Lance's girlfriend, played by Allie Larder, starts realizing that she doesn't have a way out of this town anymore because Lance doesn't have a future. She doesn't want to be stuck in West Canaan. And she thought that if she just stayed with Lance, that would be her future out. So she decides to start trying to seduce Mox. And in one of the most memorable scenes, probably in any teen film that's been repeated since then, is um, the Sunday when she decides to put whipped cream on certain areas of her naked body. Um, so to tempt Mox. And of course, the joke within the film is the fact that she's done that before, and sort of like her go-to. But you see a lot through her, the fear of being trapped in a small town and not feeling like you're good enough to be able to do anything independently, uh, and just kind of her whole feeling is that her only worth is as a woman, as like a vessel for um, pleasing her man slash I don't know, becoming a mom to Lance's kids as he becomes a football star. And when all that's gone away, her entire sense of self is gone, and she has to immediately sort of attach herself to somebody else because she doesn't know what else she's good at or capable of. And Mox, even though it's awkward because now they've seen it, actually kind of is, takes her under his wing, is really nice to her. It makes her feel like, that that there's hope, that there's a future for her, and also that Lance is going to be okay, and that they're going to be okay if they want to be. So there's a lot that deals here with doping, with suddenly getting your giving kids a shot so that they work through the pain. But should they be working through the pain? Because pain is usually a signal of something, like a warning that your body's trying to tell you something's wrong. And he ends up injecting Paul Walker with so many painkillers that eventually the injury that he ends up working his way through to try to win a championship means he'll never play football again. So at what cost? If he had gone through rehab, he might have still had a career in football, but because the coach was thinking only of himself selfishly and only of this one championship and using Lance as sort of a pawn in this whole thing, he ends up not really having a future, which is something that's played through later when the team finally stands up to the coach, led by Mox, and Lance backs him up, and Tweeter and everybody takes a stand up against the coach when their receiver, like I think the only black kid on the team, who his whole thing is he talks about how he has all of these yards that he's run, but he never gets to score the touchdown. So Mox makes sure to actually give him touchdowns because colleges are coming to look at him too, and he wants to be able to score. And unfortunately, he gets tackled and messed up in the process. And Lance speaks from sort of a personal place, telling him, don't you do it. I used to do this. Don't do it. It's not worth it. And Mox and Tweeter and all them say if that needle goes in his leg that they're not playing. So the coach tries to stand up against them. He attacks Mox, eventually realizes that he's losing. He walks out thinking the team's going to follow him back out onto the field. It's really kind of sad and depressing. Oh, it's a great moment, but I mean, it's kind of what a shell of a man walking out into the field. He's like clapping. He's like, all right, let's go, let's go, let's go. Nobody follows him. Instead, they stay there for Mox's speech at the end of the film. And let's play the next 24 minutes for the next 24 minutes and leave it all out there on the field. We have a chance to play like gods. That whole speech. It's a great speech. You can watch the whole thing. If you haven't seen it, just watch the speech on YouTube. It's one of the more inspirational speeches. Interesting thing about Varsity Blues is also that it came before Friday Night Lights in either film or television form. So this was sort of the initial representation for people of this, uh, you know, Texas football lifestyle. I also love the fact that um, you know, Mox has that line with his dad where he's like playing football in West Canaan may have been the best years of your life, but I don't want your life. And James's drawl on that, I don't want your life. um, and Lance's is it Lance's the little brother that's like trying to start a cult following. I think that's that Mox's brother. I think it's Mox's brother. I couldn't remember if it's Mox or Lance's brother for that for a second there. I think it's Mox's brother that's trying to start the cult following. They go to the strip club where one of their teachers is there, and that is not weird for them at all. And they laugh about it, and they're like, "Oh my god, it's you paying the bills." Because of course the star football players get led into a place that they really shouldn't be in, um, and they end up sort of flirting with the teacher. Tweeter has lots of girls around him all the time. It has sort of wild fun, but is stealing the cop car and everything. And the boys get away with like everything because they win. And it sort of shows how this town acquiesces to whatever it is that they're doing and how they can't really ever get into trouble. Um, I think there's a scene where, well, I know there's a scene, but Mox, sorry, I watched it without audio description, so I'm also combining my memories with what I just went through. Mox is trying to buy alcohol, and he actually gets it. He doesn't have to fake it or anything like that. The guy knows he's underage and serves him anyway because he's now the star quarterback of the team, and no longer is he backup or second string. They want to make sure that he has whatever he wants as long as he keeps winning. So Mox kind of drinks that in and takes the celebrity. But yeah, Varsity Blues. It did pretty well for itself back in the day with $52 million at the box office, um, which that's not adjusted for inflation. You know, from 1999 dollars, probably closer to $90 million today, 80-90 million in today's marketplace, which is really solid for a comedy, a teen comedy at the box office, especially an R-rated one. We had several that came out in and around this time period, and a lot of them are PG-13, like She's All That. But some of them are R, like Varsity Blues and American Pie, both came out in 1999 and banked on the R ratings against also films like She's All That and 10 Things I Hate About You. It was a big year for teen comedies, especially the ones that really sort of etched themselves permanently um, in our pop culture. 1999 was just a great year for film in general. So, um, Varsity Blues. It's hard for me to put that final grade on it and have my final thoughts on Varsity Blues because I know I'm coming hot off of the loss of James and this being sort of representational because it would take me a lot longer to review the entirety of Dawson's Creek. And I'm just not that interested in some of his other film work. Texas Rangers, Rules of Attraction. Plus, this one was easy for me because, like I said, I own a DVD copy, whereas I don't own Texas Rangers, Rules of Attraction. I don't own those films. I thought about watching Sidelined on Tubi, but then I was like, what if it's not good? Then my then I come on here and I'm like, and my tribute to James is God, a good movie. So I just decided to stick with a review of Varsity Blues because I love Varsity Blues. And much like a lot of the other films that I love, my grade may seem higher, but I've seen this film just dozens of times. I've seen this film so many times. Um, you know, but it was part of that generation for me. So it's like somebody older than me saying that they saw 16 Candles a bunch of times, right? Or Can't Buy Me Love and some of those films from back in the day. This is like my generation. I was still in high school during this time. I think I was a sophomore when this movie came out. So, yeah, um, I would say that it was very formational for me. I was still sort of also finding myself cinematically still exploring more and more works from greater directors in this time period. So it was easy to sort of feel the pop culture phenomenon of Varsity Blues along with still going to my local library and checking out whatever they had from whichever director they had, and trying to move through that and see what's on. Uh, I lived in a small town, so basically it was that. It was AMC, it was whatever was on AMC at the time. I didn't even have Turner Classic Movies right away. So it was what's on AMC. Before AMC started populating with a lot of TV shows, they actually just used to run movies. I know, it's shocking and amazing, but there was a time. There was a time. There was a time when actually most of those channels just used to run movies all the time. So it became really easy to catch things on cable. But yes, Varsity Blues, my grade may seem higher, but I love this film. And I would take this film with me to a desert island and watch it over and over. I love Mox's speech. I love all the little beats throughout the film. It takes me back. It helps the fact that, I didn't care that it didn't have audio description because I've seen it 1,000 times. I wish it did have audio description for more people to be able to see it. But at the same time, when I was going back through the track, I realized how many images from this film are like ingrained in my brain. So it was like I was watching the film anyway, and that happens for me a lot with films. And the more familiar I am with a film, the more of it I can remember. Um, some films almost in their entirety. Like I can listen to Jurassic Park without audio description, and basically I've got shot for shot, like it's in my brain. But Varsity Blues, quite a lot of that. The shots. Once I started listening to it, I was like, I remember what that looked like. I could kind of remember what they were wearing in the scene. I could kind of remember how the camera was angled in on the shot. There was so much of it that was coming back to me that I can't just not give Varsity Blues a grade that I think it deserves. So for me, I'm gonna give Varsity Blues an 8.9 out of 10. I love this movie. I realize it may not be a cinematic classic, but it is certainly one of my favorite films. And I am a fan, and I will miss James Vanderbeek, Mox. So, anyway, thanks for joining me on this reminiscent tour through Varsity Blues, and I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you guys on the other side.